Welcome to the GTB web demonstration. In this demonstration, we're going to display the network DLP of the GTB DLP suite. What I will be showing in the next several minutes is how the GTB inspector is able to perform real-time data classification on any data that is leaving the network, and then identify a DLP policy violation, and then accordingly automatically enforce the policy based on the DLP violation. You'll notice that the GTB inspector is a dual mode device. It could be deployed out of line or in line in bridge mode. Of course, in this case, I'm connected through a mirror port or a span port, so I'm able to see all traffic through that switch. For those organizations who want to inspect email, you'll need to reroute from your server your SMTP transmission directly to the inspector. The inspector has a full MTA inside. It is going to be able to scan the emails out of the body or the attachments of emails, and given its full MTA, it will then allow users to remediate violations. Such remediation could be to route emails to the encryption gateway, delete them, or possibly send them back to the internet. HTTPS transmissions could come through ICAP handoff from the proxy server. Those organizations who do not have a proxy server may route their SSL traffic directly to the GTB inspector, since the GTB inspector also has a full SSL proxy. So all ports and all protocols are being scanned by the GTB inspector, and I will start by email. In this case, what I'll do, I'll go over to my email, and I have a very simple email here. I will start by this one, select reply to this email, and then you'll notice that I have Mr. Acton here. I have some text and a number. This happens to be the bank account number of Mr. Acton. It should trigger a GLBA violation. In fact, if I select send and receive, you'll notice that I will be receiving alerts. On the bottom right of the screen, you'll notice I received an alert to my Gmail account and my Yahoo account. Those two are emulated as special security administrators. I can alert the manager or the boss of the violator. You'll notice over here, this is the email that the boss received. It said Mr. Zwirin. You'll notice Mr. Acton, and indeed the bank account number was sent by Uzi Yair. Very nice. Okay, so we can delete that email. But the user also received a chance to remediate the event. This is the email that the user received. You notice it says your email was quarantined for possible GLBA policy violation. Please review. Dear violator, your email to demo violated GLBA policy and was quarantined. The user could see the source, the destination, severity level, subject line, timestamp, the actual DLP violation, and the data that violated the policy. Of course, the action was to quarantine such an email. This happens to be a medium severity violation, so we let the user remediate. The user may log on directly to the MTA, like so, and now he will see the same type of data. Mr. Acton and his credit card. Here's the data inside the email. If the user wants to view the email, he can click here and select open, and voila, this is the email that he was sending out. All right, at this point, the user may decide to possibly release the email. He may decide to encrypt the email, or oops, maybe delete the email. Let's decide to delete such an email. So the user decided not to send it out. Logging on to the central console, I'll refresh the screen. You'll notice that the last event was at 8:36 a.m. from New York. Mind you, I may have multiple locations connected to the central console, maybe Atlanta, Chicago, Frisco, LA, and New York, and so on. So I'm able to then report on events per location. This was a GLBA violation. It was a medium severity. The source was Uzi Yair. It was sent to demo. The system assigned this violation to Bob Newhart because he's the fellow who handles the GLBA violation on behalf of the organization. You notice that the email status says that it was quarantined, that it is quarantined. But it's no longer the case, since as a user, I deleted such email. So if I refresh the screen, you'll notice that this queue should be changing to something else. And it did. and now we see self-deleted. So this was just a very simple example of how the system is able to detect a policy violation in an email. If it was a medium severity violation, the system then would quarantine the email and give the user a chance to remediate. I have many more emails here, and to save time, I'll just show it to you quickly. In this case, I have an email with Mr. Abagnale and his social security number. In this one, naturally will trigger a HIPAA violation. In this case, the same thing, Mr. Abagnale and his credit card number. In this case, a last name and a salary should trigger a human resource violation. This one is the one we just did. Here is an example of a name and an email address in Arabic. And this one happens to be a name and a Taiwanese ID. And this one happens to be a Japanese violation, maybe a license number. And the same thing over here with a Russian thing. To save time, I'll just forward all these emails as an attachment in one shot, so you don't have to waste time watching videos on the internet. Sending this all out as an attachment, we will trigger many violations at the same time. Logging onto the central console, I'll refresh the screen here. You will notice a lot of violations over here. Okay, and there we go. So we had a human resource violation, we had an Arabic email, we have a Japanese license number, PCI violation, and GLBA. And one after another, the events are coming over here. All of these emails were quarantined, of course, and alerts were sent to the user to remediate such events because they were all of medium severity level. What happens if I send something more severe? For example, let me show you this file. This file does not have an extension. I'll open it with Adobe. Here we go. Indeed, it's Mr. Abrams and his credit card. It is Mrs. Ace and a credit card, and so on. More than one PCI violation in the same file. In this case, I will attach the file, but what will happen, the email would be quarantined, but only security administrators could release such an email. The user can get an alert about it, but he will not be able to release by himself. Naturally, high severity violations may be of real problem, so you don't want users to remediate. Only administrators could remediate. Going over to the console, we will see that we have a high severity violation over here, and because the email was of high severity nature. In this case, I'll log directly into the event details to see what really transpired here. You'll notice that I had Mr. Acton and his credit card, Mrs. Ace in a credit card, Mr. Adams and Mrs. Abrams in the credit card. Inside the file, we see exactly where the violations were. Not only that, we see the username, the name of the user, the source, destination. In fact, this was on the Irvine domain by the administrator. So we have lots of data about this violation. And of course, the email is still quarantined, and that's the time the email was quarantined. Let's see what happened on other protocols. I will copy all these credit cards and go over to my Gmail account. I will start a brand new email and paste the data over here. Well, this is definitely a high severity violation. Sending the data over to, say, demo@gtb.com, we don't care about the subject line. This email should definitely be blocked. It's a high severity violation. The GTB inspector immediately issued a TCP reset to both the sender and the receiver, and the violation was blocked. Notice again how fast the alerts come to special security administrators. And here what I'll do now is find out who actually had made this violation. So going back to the central console, we'll see that the last event under the source, we see it was Uzia E, it was Gmail on port 443, PCI violation. The action was to block, and because the severity was high. But who actually made this violation? Who's responsible? Again, we see exactly the credit cards that left the network, and we see that it was on the Irvine domain by the administrator, the name of the user, the department, and so on. But was it really Uzia E who did it? Well, looking at the user information, we see exactly who did it. The webmail username is also recorded and that is the person who actually did this violation. And that was a short example of how the GTB inspector handles network violations. For further information, please call GTB, log on to our website at gttb.com, or send information and requests to info@gttb.com. Thank you very much.